2020 annual meeting is called to order. Father Lee will offer the opening prayer.
Heavenly Father, another year. It seems like an awesome responsibility, but if we let you make the decisions and we follow them, then it's going to be good. So help us tonight to center our questions, our emotions, our inner feelings, and our plans around one question only. What would you have us do? So be with us and guide and direct us, and may everything we do be to your glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. You have in front of you the meeting minutes from the 2019 annual meeting. Are there any changes, additions, corrections, or deletions? Hearing none, can I have a motion to accept as presented? Moved by Walter Kroll, seconded by Sandy Gaudette. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I'm appointing Scott and Jerry Gardner as lectors, as in the people who read your ballots for the elections, which brings us to our first order of business. Nominations for Vestry from the floor are open. Are there any nominations from the floor? Motion by Don Van Gelder to close nominations, seconded by Walter Kroll. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Since there are 4 people running for 4 spots, and let us rehearse how they got there. We ask everyone, man, woman, and child, member, associate member, visitor, to recommend to the nominating committee people that they would like to see on Vestry. We invite those people recommended to a meeting where they find out all the joys, advantages of being on Vestry. At the end, the responsibilities. At the end of that meeting, they're invited to fill out a Vestry criteria and covenant form, which lays out kind of the expectations of what it means to be on Vestry. Those that do then are put forward for nomination. And this year, we had 4 people willing to stand for Vestry, and we could have each of them stand as I call them. Great deal. It's just I saw you first. It's not because I like you best or anything. Linda Floyd. I bet Linda's not coming till 7. Too late to withdraw. Linda Cardillo. There she is. And Howard Roshaven, who's up in the booth. All right. Those are your nominees. Do you feel prepared to vote? All in favor of the 4 nominees, say aye. Aye. Opposed by the same sign? Okay. I'm going to move the election of delegates up because we have, no, I'm not. I'm going to wait till 7 because that's actually an election. Never mind. At this time, those of you who might remember, We last year began a tradition. I mean, it's a tradition now because we're doing it 2 years in a row, of presenting kind of it's almost a lifetime achievement award. And the award is named after someone who has achieved much in his life, Ed Brown. Ed is been referred to, this church has been referred to as Ed Brown's church because of all that he has done to make sure that St. John Divine continued and has a future. And he unfortunately wasn't feeling well tonight, so he could not be here. But I know that he'll be very pleased. Like last year, we couldn't really get it narrowed down enough to one person, so we're going to offer 2 people this award. So first is a member of St. John Divine for over 12 years, a member of Compassionate Friends, Curcio, was a crew member for Fish Dinners, leader of Grief Support, worker on Meals on Wheels, Outreach Ministry, co-chairman of Rummage Sale, member and past chair of Women's Fellowship, leader of Parish Nurses, leader of the monthly blood pressure taking, member of the Prayer Chain, CPRAD Ministry, Bazaar Fall Festival. I think you all know that I'm talking about Jackie Winder. So come on up, Jackie. That one's yours. Hang on. And if you'll stand just to the side while I introduce this next person who's been a member of St. John Divine for over 20 years, past junior and senior warden, limb, lector, usher, member of the getting the building moved from Ruskin to here, on the Task Force for Growth Committee, works tirelessly on everything, cleared out all that brush on 301, not by himself, was on the search committee in 2013-14, and member of the Men's Fellowship, and I'm talking about Roger Mills. Come on down. Stand next to Jackie. You can take that out of the plastic if you want. And we have one more thing. And as you can see, your names have been added just below Don Fisher and Don Van Gelder. And here, stand out a little more to the middle. And come on, show your plaque. Here, take your plaques out. Show your plaques. All right, here, get that out of the basket. Just, it falls right out. Here, just pull it out.
Like Christmas.
It's like Christmas. So there we go. Okay. All right. So, yeah. Okay. And I know Ed is watching at home on the live stream, so thank you, Ed, for being the inspiration for this award. Thank you, guys. All right. All right. Every year we try to talk about something that's new or different, highlight an aspect of the ministry at St. John Divine. Last year, of course, we had the Ed Brown inauguration of the Ed Brown Award, and the year before that it was the Task Force for Growth and the move of the Banner Building. This year, one of the biggest changes and biggest improvements in ministry at St. John Divine has been the media, and our media and tech specialist would like to do a little presentation of what's going on and what you can look for and how you can help this ministry. So, Tristan.
Well, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for those who are on the live stream and watching recording. Ed Brown, I hope you're watching because I know you will. I am, of course, speaking for our video offerings from this year. And if we can switch to the slides up there. Good job, Booth. I believe in you. All right. And I'm coming a little boomy there. All right. We got it? All right. As you can see from the title, this is a showing of our ministry through video, its growth, and how we can improve. But first, let's pat ourselves on the back on our current achievements. We started offering videos on YouTube in May of 2018 and have a total of about 3,650 views. For 2019, we are running around 2,600 views, and about 550 of those are live streams. I also like to point out that we have currently gained 23 subscribers, 18 of which came from this year alone. But all that's just numbers, so what does that actually mean? In 2019, we gained about 70% more views than we did in 2018. I do want to give a small caveat that 2018 only had a little bit more than half a year to gain views and viewership, but I'm really excited about that improvement, and I'm really excited about how that ministry has grown. I also want to cover that more than 15% of all views, all videos watched that we have offered are live streams. Live streams have only been around since September, so that is only 4 months of views, making up 15% of all views since we've been presenting video. We have also had no growth in subscribers until May of 2019. And then from May till now, we gained, 18 subscribers, which is just incredible. I'm very ecstatic about that growth. I'm really, really proud of everyone. And I wanted to do something a little bit, step away from the mic. I wanted to do something a little bit fun, which is just cover the top 10 videos of 2019. Now, I was going to do this like one at a time, one by one, but then again, the bottom 6 are all Father Lee. Father Lee has numbers 10 through, 5? Yeah, 10 through 5 are Father Lee, which the only thing that actually kind of topped Father Lee was a new rector coming in and his welcoming from Father Kevin. So we have Father Kevin welcoming Father David Wiley into our church, which was then promptly followed by 2 more Father Lee videos. You're a very good speaker, sir. And of course, there is the coveted number 1 spot. And of course, that spot can only be taken by some young new face. And it was, of course, a Wiley that took the number 1 spot, but it was actually Samantha Wiley, not Father Wiley, with her precious singing of I Love. I'm going to actually talk a little bit more about that video in a minute, but that was just an impressive showing from, of course, Samantha Wiley. Now, of course, those are all just numbers, and we've had our good laugh, but what does that actually mean? Well, let's cover the obvious. Father Lee is popular. There's no getting around it. He's a very great speaker. It's always the best part when I have to make the sermon videos. You just have to sit there and listen to Father Lee. It's like I could fall asleep right now. It's so soothing. So obviously Father Lee is popular. He takes up 8 of the 10 top spots. All of the sermons are about 15 minutes or less. The only exception to the rule was Father Wiley's welcome, which was about a 30-minute video. The difference there was that was also a sermon, followed by the welcoming, followed by all the gifts. So it was a little bit of a longer video, but it was a great little video, and I hope you've seen it. And of course, I wanted to bring forth that sharing is caring. I mentioned that I was going to bring back Samantha Wiley's video again. That video was made private because I didn't feel comfortable putting that out publicly, and gave the link to Father Wiley, who then promptly shared it to everyone and everywhere, and it immediately blew up in views. It was a short video, and it was shared everywhere. And Father Wiley has clearly learned his lesson, because now he's sharing his sermons, and his sermons now in the year of 2020 are rivaling Father Lee, because sharing is caring. Now I also have the top 10 live streams, and I'm not going to do a bunch of little one at a time thing. Here's all of them. And you can kind of see I've color-coded. The green are September, and red are October, and you can see that they make up most of the list, with December being very popular as well. I want to point out that all of those are Sundays, except for the 6 p.m. Christmas Eve service. That was the only exception to the rule. Now let's actually just go ahead and move on to the next. So what's our great takeaways? We have about 15 views on average for the live streams, but obviously you saw those numbers really quickly. Those are like in the 30s and such, but those make up a small portion of what we were looking at. They obviously lost steam after September. October had one of the best months, but after October, November was pretty barren. It obviously gained back steam during Christmas and Christmas Eve. Those were very popular sermons and seasons and services. But I also want to point out the Christmas season services were great. Thanksgiving Eve was one of our lowest services as far as our count. It was about 7. So I wanted to kind of point out really quickly that holidays are not a guarantee of viewership. Thankfully, it's probably because people are here instead of watching it from home. Now, I will try. That's a tall order for me, as some of you may know. My mom was the first to laugh. I want to point that out. So we are the ones that can make the ministry a success. As a person and a staff member, I can only promote our offering so much, but each person here or watching, thank you for watching, this presentation on the live stream or recording can make it grow even more, because sharing is caring. I may be biased in saying this, as it was the brainchild of Father Wiley and I, but live streaming is our fastest growing outreach. And as we improve our facilities, equipment, we can make us the best streaming Episcopal church in the diocese. I want our offering to be so successful and so sought after that members of the diocese call us to find out how we did it. And I didn't get to talk too much about them because I was told 10 minutes or less. Subscribers are unsung heroes. They are the ones who legitimize us in the world, and by just being there are improving our visibility. With more subscribers, we will see more views, be given additional tools to improve our offerings, and remember that sharing our videos is the number 1 thing, but subscribing is number 2. Please do subscribe. And I just want to finish with one last thing. I want to let you all know that I will personally strive to improve the booth, to improve our quality, to improve our media offering, but I will always need your support. And the support of my volunteers. Obviously we have Howard and then my go-to camera guy, Tommy, and then anyone else who's been up there, such as Jim, who's been very supportive of us going forward. And so I just wanted to let you all know that together we can reach the lost, the sick, and the needy. We will grow, we will improve, and thank you for your time, and thank you for getting us to where we are today. Oh, yes, sir.
Take a moment and explain to us
Yes, sir.
what you mean by subscribing.
So,
We don't know what you're talking about.
fair enough. And I did mention that I wish I kind of thought about it. Thank you. Gave it a little bit more time because I felt like I did rush that portion. Subscribing is a function of YouTube. We do all of our video offerings through YouTube. YouTube is a Google product, So anyone who has a Gmail or Google account, any of those kind of things, have essentially an account for YouTube. Now, when I say subscribing, if you go to a YouTube page, you can see the video right under it, you can see the title, detailed description right under that title, and on the right of the title, or left, depending on how you're viewing the screen, you can see a box that says subscribe. If you hit that subscribe box, it will notify you in the future whenever we come out with a video, whenever we come out with a live stream, whenever the next thing has been scheduled. It is probably the easiest and fastest way to keep track of what we're doing. Did you want to say something, sir? Yes, sir.
Do I have to pay to have YouTube?
No. It is free. It is part of Google's many different free offerings, mostly because all their money comes from advertising. There are some people who can do some paid stuff. What we offer on YouTube is free.
Just to add one point about the social media aspect that Tristan was speaking about, if you see a video that you like that Tristan produces and posts to social media, live streams, sermons, any other video that St. John Divine puts out, if you share that video to your own Facebook feed, your own social media feed, that's one way that it will bump up the number of views. But what it also does is the more views that these videos get, the more prominent they're placed on people's news feeds. So the more views, the more likes, the more action that these videos get, the more prominent St. John Divine is to the outside public. And that's kind of the whole point of doing social media, is to get our names out there to other people. So next video that you see, if you like it, please share it to your own news feed, and then it'll exponentially grow the number of views that all of these videos are receiving.
I have been a little bit sick lately, but I do plan, the past week I haven't been in the office except for one day. I have been a little bit sick, but I do plan to put together a workshop going over some of these things, specifically how to watch the live stream, how to watch past live streams. I know that has been a bit of a concern. So I do plan to do a workshop. I'm thinking mid-February. I have to talk with the boss. I don't know. Gotta get approval and such. Yes? I had a lovely time talking with you. So someone who was just, that was me. So someone was just mentioning how I'm very happy to hear that. Someone was mentioning they watched from New York the live stream and used the live chat, which on streaming there is a live chat function, and had a lovely conversation with this individual who was coming from New York.
Other questions?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
How many members do we have on our Facebook?
I don't know that number offhand. I don't know that number offhand. It's something I can find out real quick, though.
If I remember seeing the last set of analytics correctly, I think we have 400 likes. Now, of them, how many are actually following our Facebook page? I'd have to check the analytics. It's not a big number, but it is growing. All of our analytics are in the positives over the last 8 months.
I think you've got a good idea. A lot of people out there who don't realize, anybody on Facebook, they don't realize they can follow page online.
For your knowledge, we have. Yes, ma'am. To answer your question, I just looked it up real quick for you. We have 248 people that like our Facebook page and 252 who follow it. So follow it is how you on Facebook will receive updates whenever we post new pictures, new videos, new stories, events. Following the Facebook page is a really good way to get those updates.
Is following the Facebook page different than subscribing to YouTube? Do you have to do both?
Yes, Facebook is its own entity. They are not part of Google, so they are their own separate entity. So they are not the fastest way to get access to videos. We don't really post any of the live streams on the Facebook. We just post the sermons. But if you're interested in the video offering, YouTube's where it's at. If you're interested in the going-ons of St. John Divine, Facebook's where it's at. And feel free to like both. You know, like Facebook, follow Facebook, subscribe to the YouTube. Just have both. That's what I do. It makes my life easier.
So your homework for tonight is to go home and like St. John Divine on Facebook.
All right. Thank you for your time.
One of the next steps in our evolution is I would like us to get to the point where our equipment is sophisticated enough that we can start broadcasting live remotely. In other words, I would like our Sunday morning services, perhaps we would have a satellite at Freedom Plaza. So people who could not get to church could still come down maybe to the auditorium, and while this service is going on live here, they could be part of the service. We could have lay Eucharistic ministers there, and when it comes time for communion, they could receive communion at the same time as the rest of their St. John Divine family. The possibilities of this then open all sorts of doors for us as we continue to try to look beyond our walls and reach out to others. But that to me is the most significant thing that we could start doing in the very close future. Now, our cameras are so old that we can't get parts for them. And when we bought them, they were old. They were not brand new, state-of-the-art cameras. They were old. We've been quietly asking people if they could help with the video ministry. To do a full upgrade, it was roughly around $50,000. That's not a small number, I know. But in order to do the kinds of things that, one of the things, if you notice on Sunday morning, as we come in, you have a choice. You can either watch me on TV or, anybody, or we can have the video, the slides up for the song. If I'm watching at home, I want to see people walking in, I want to see the procession, and maybe we could superimpose the words to the song over that, as opposed to having it one or the other. So things like that, as a matter of fact, we got an anonymous letter. It didn't have to be anonymous because everything that was in the letter was exactly what we thought. It wasn't anonymous. Oh, we do know. Okay. Well, thanks for signing your name. But it's all the things we know that are wrong with the system. And, there's no problem that a few, tens of thousands of dollars can't cure. That said, we've already received $5,500 towards the upgrade. And I would like to be able to finish that sooner rather than later to help honor the people that have already stepped up and done that. And that's just 2 people. Yes, you had something else? And why don't you, Jim, because no one can hear your deep voice.
No, I have no reason. Okay. There we go. A very dear friend of mine came in here with me several years ago to help me solve a problem in the system. And he took a look around, and he saw those cameras, which were chosen and installed by whoever had the contract on it at the time that the church was built. His comment to me concerning those cameras was very straightforward. I have seen better cameras than that in parking lots. They do need to be replaced.
Wait 1 second. All right. I did want to add one more note to that. That is a very big project, which includes upgrading the cameras first and foremost, upgrading the equipment that they attach to, these screens, these projectors. It's about upgrading all of that. Mind you, we get about halfway there, we're going to start upgrading the cameras immediately. Cameras need to go first, and the equipment attached to them. So it is a project, it's a big project that is cut up into phases. So as the money comes in, and even if we haven't reached our goal wholeheartedly yet, we will start that project. And so that way this live stream will get better. That picture right there will get better. It'll be a long process, but it will be a very helpful and an important process. There you go.
All right. Okay, I will now swap out the agenda briefly. It is 7 o'clock, so some of us thought the meeting started at 6:30. Some people thought it started at 7. So everybody who, worst case scenario, thought it was 7 should be here. We will, if you will, take out your yellow. If you arrive late, raise your hand if you need a yellow ballot. Actually, don't raise your hand. Just come up and see Valerie. Walk on up and see Valerie. Give her your name so she can check you in. That's it. And you, again, you're not late given that there were 2 times published. You were on time for one of the published times. On the yellow ballot, you have the people who have been nominated for diocesan convention delegate. Self-nominations work. You do have to be available first for a meeting first week of September, either Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday evening, and then for diocesan convention, which occurs October 15 through the 17th. We get there Thursday night. We're have stuff all day Friday and 3/4 of the day on Saturday. Are there any more nominations for diocesan convention delegate? Don moves that we close nominations. Is there a second? And there's Walter right behind him. All in favor say aye. Opposed? All right. If you'd fill out your yellow ballot, and I have appointed the gardeners as lectors, they will be coming up and coming around and grabbing your ballots. Pass them down to one end of the row, but not both. Yes, you can. If you mark more than 3, it will invalidate your ballot. Thank you, Mary Kay. Up to 3, what it said on the ballot. Up to 3. All right. Just so you know, 5 years from now, you'll all just punch a button on your tablet, and things we'll have the results will come up instantly on the screen. And I know we could, but yeah. All right. My report's in there. I'm not going to read it to you. The things that I think are most important, if you look on page 7, and the five bullets there, the 3 that are already checked off, and one of the most important things that we need to understand is that as we move into becoming a bigger church, we need to get smaller. Let me explain. In the past, when you have 50 people on a Sunday at a service, you know everybody. When you have a church that has 70 active women, they all know each other. They're all in the Women of St. John group. The men all know each other. Everybody knows everybody. But when you become a church of 4, 5, 6, 7, 800, it becomes more difficult. And add to that, how many have been members of a 1,000-member church or more? Maybe 2%. At our present size, we are already in the 7% largest Episcopal churches in the nation. When people retire and move here and join our church, their experience is most likely of a church of 70 people, maybe 100. The 1,000-plus member church that I used to attend now worships about 100 and change. In the Midwest, the Northeast, things have changed. The good news is, here in Florida, we continue to enjoy growth and development and life. In order for that to continue, we have to consciously make ourselves aware of our unconscious desire not to grow. No one is against growth, right? Everybody thinks a growing church is a good thing. If you ask anyone, they will say yes. And yet, unconsciously, we all have things that we do because change is not something that anybody seeks out. I like it the way it used to be. It is 2020. Our prayer book has been our prayer book since 1979. And we still talk about it as if it's the new prayer book. Decades old, but it's the new prayer book. So nobody embraces change as much as they would like to or need to. By getting smaller, it's important that you belong to a group, a small group, a Bible study, the choir, any altar guild, any number of places where when you walk in, everyone knows your name. Church should be like Cheers. Yeah, everybody knows your name. And I'm sorry, but I could call on 2 people now, and I bet you don't know each other's names. That's okay. A human being, at best, can handle about 70 to 75 relationships where you know somebody's name and a little bit more about them. Which is why 80% of Episcopal churches are fewer than 100 on Sunday. And because we fight that urge to welcome others, we end up in that situation. The good news is, I think everybody here understands that the mission of the church is to reach those who still have not found Jesus. It is our job to reconcile the world to Christ. And my hope is that we will put a lot of time and energy into those activities around here that do that. The worship services, the outreach ministries, Curcio, Alpha, Happening, all of those kinds of things, which are places where non-believers can come in and maybe even feel comfortable without being overwhelmed at our services. Because we do. We stand, we sit, we kneel, and you never know which you're supposed to do. Our Christian aerobics can be confusing sometimes. But we need to be a place where, first off, it's like Disney. Everybody is our guest, and we want to make them feel welcome. And we need to be a place where we are connected one to another. At least in, Jesus had a small group of 12, and that seemed to work pretty good. Well, there's always that one, but that's going to be true in every group. But find your group, find your place, find your ministry. Find where you are so that you can help us make that transition, because they've done a lot of research and they've decided there's 5 kinds of churches, 5 different church sizes. And really, you can function healthy in any one of the sizes except the middle one, which is what we are. Because we have the expectation of ministries. People want nursery, they want Sunday school, they want senior programs, they want, why don't we have a bus going around picking up seniors? Why don't we have, all these things? But when you don't have enough people, you can't fund them. We've been blessed by very generous gifts from people who have gone on. Thank you, by the way, for all of you who attended the Legacy Workshop last weekend. Appreciate that a great deal. There's so much we can do. There's so much we can do to make sure that we continue the ministry that was started 50 years ago in Ruskin. And that doesn't go away, but continues to grow and evolve. The plan for this place is now in sight. We can see the possibility of finishing what was started many years ago. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, this was only supposed to be a parish hall. This was not supposed to be the church. Another larger building was supposed to be next door with the church and Sunday school rooms and offices. We can get there. But it will require us being very conscious of making changes so that people, when they come in, feel comfortable. That when people want to connect in the church, we make room for them. Help others find a ministry in this church. Bring someone alongside of you. We had a person who's been a member here many, many years. Comes to service, goes home. Recently, they were given a ministry, something to do. Well, now, they're a little more excited. Not only that, they turned in an estimate of giving card. Woohoo! It matters if you feel like you're part of the team. So find places to involve other people, new people in ministry that works for them. If they ask, can I help you? Say yes. Do never say, oh no, I've got it. That is the wrong answer in the church. The answer is, yes, you can. Why don't you come up? Let me show you how to do what I'm doing. Encourage people getting involved in doing stuff. That's the major thing that I want to emphasize this coming year, and hope that all of you will support the leadership and the team in making that happen. Because we really believe that the future of this church is solid, and it's going to go on for years. Questions? Thank you. All right. We have a election, and our diocesan convention delegates are Val Bryant, Aubrey Thompson, Sharon Van Loan, and first alternate is Ali Mayoki. So thank you all, and congratulations. All right, I'd like to, what's next on the agenda? Recognize, I was kind of waiting a minute to see if Coretta made it, but she didn't, our retiring members. So Walter, would you come up? Come on up here, sir. Yeah. I can't say enough about Walter, except that we have decided to make him Vestry Emeritus and require his attendance at all parties, functions, and retreats.
I'll be glad to come.
His wisdom, his just very calming presence helps things immensely in the meetings, and when he speaks, it is important, and you need to listen. He's been great to have on, and I do have a gift for you. I don't have it in hand, but it will be, you'll know it when you see it.
Okay.
But thank you so much for everything, and thank you for your ministry here. Anything you want to say to the crowd?
Well, I hadn't planned anything, but I came to St. John's in 2016. 3 months later, Father Kevin asked me if I'd be on the vestry. I said, I've never been on the vestry. Well, I don't know. I don't know anybody here. What do you do? But I came to the vestry, and 3 years, I've learned a lot, and I've gotten to know a lot of people. I've got to know the workings of the church. I've got to know, not only here, but the Episcopal Church nationwide and worldwide. Most importantly, I think, I've met people, I've worked with people, and I have treasured those memories probably more than anything else. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Gotcha. All right. Now, you might be asking, why is there only 2 people who I called up here? And that is because 2 of the people that were elected today were already on Vestry. So we're not saying goodbye to them. We're just saying back to work. They're Greg Deal and Linda Cardillo, who both fulfilled unexpired terms and thereby were eligible for election to a regular 3-year term. So they both said yes. At least that's what we told them they said. And so they're back. So next year, unless we have another person leave mid-year, we'll have a full election of 4 people, and we will be saying goodbye to 4 people. Generally, I wait till after the Vestry retreat to announce my pick for senior warden. That would just be silly because you all know who it is. You all know that there isn't really another choice. You all know that against my better judgment, the first time 4 years ago, 3 years ago, whenever that was, and I was praying it through because I didn't have an idea of who to ask. And I had this grumpy guy on Vestry who did not want to go to Vestry retreat and didn't want to do anything and was just giving me a hard time. But I thought, okay, well, it can't be him, of course. And then when I prayed, I said, Lord, I don't know who to pick for senior warden. You gotta lay this out for me. And dang, if I didn't hear the words, Don Fisher. I said, is this thing on? So I gave it another day, and I got up next morning, went in my little prayer cell, spent some time, got real quiet, and I said, all right, Lord, really, seriously, who do you want for senior warden? Don Fisher, dummy, I told you once. He doesn't usually get that mean with me unless I'm being stupid, and I was. It has been a great partnership because if you don't trust me, you'll trust him, and if you don't trust him, you'll trust me because we're about the other end of the pole of just about anything, but at the same time, I have found that this is a man who loves the Lord and loves St. John Divine with all his heart. Anything you want to say?
I'll cover. Thank you very much, Father. It's been a pleasure working with him, Father Lee, in the last 6-7 months with our new young father, grandfather. I am to him because he's younger than my youngest son. Father Kevin is younger than my oldest son. So, but what makes it these 3 gentlemen that are leading us is that we're getting a real perspective of the age of where we're at. When I say age, I mean the full spectrum of change. If you have an opportunity to work with these gentlemen, you will know not only how much they believe in God, but how well they work with people. And all I can say to you is it's a pleasure to work with them, to serve on the vestry, and to work for you folks. He ain't going to be able to do this again because this coming year is my last year that I'm eligible. So I think he's going to work me, but that's fine. Because I can only do so much in 12 months like everybody else. But thank you very much for respecting my ability to help you out. Well, I got this. Thank you. While I have the mic in my hand, I'm not going to read my report that's in your write-up. I'd like you to read it. All I want to do is add a couple comments to it that are not that detailed because part of my job is, as senior warden, is to get the rest of the people in the vestry to do their jobs. The junior warden's got enough to do, so I don't have to get after him, but the rest of the folks, especially the new ones, try to get them involved as quick as we can. The things that I've been trying to push over the last few years, I don't think I need to overemphasize to you from the standpoint of, as we grow, we've got to have good data, good information on everybody. I keep pressing on that. If you don't have church life, an example is that when I sent out an email a couple of days ago about this meeting, I got the wrong time for the meeting, but yet if you looked at the calendar, it states right in the calendar 5 o'clock for dinner and 6:30 for the meeting. But in the memo I sent out, it was 7. Now I've got a couple folks here that are sitting here that remind me periodically, and I would love it if everybody would do it. A, when I do get something wrong in there, they're ready to jab me, because they love to do that. Secondly, every time I put something, because it's part of maintaining the calendar, I put something on the marquee, nobody makes a comment unless I misspell a word. Then everybody seems to read it, but I don't know whether they're reading the ones when I do spell things right. But it's very helpful, and I appreciate it, believe me. Correct my spelling, correct my times, so that everybody who doesn't come to everything, other than you folks, will know what time and what we're doing. Because besides the media, we are adding on in the communications area, with the help of Father David, to improve all our communications. I think we're doing somewhat better, but we got a long ways to go. So anything you can do, any ideas you have, we certainly would appreciate it. With that said, I want to keep in mind we need a lot of help starting Monday for the rummy sale. Men and women, set up as Monday morning, clean out the pod to bring in here. The rest of the time, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, setting up and pricing. Friday and Saturday, and at 12 o'clock Saturday afternoon, we need all the help we can get this place back in order. Secondly, if you don't have church life on your phone, please let me know, and we'll get it put on your phone so you can keep track of the folks, the calendar, and the other thing is you can also give your weekly, monthly, or quarterly giving can be done right from your phone. And again, thank you, and let's have a great 2020.
All right, thank you. You want to say anything? Got another song? Two.
Oh.
If you want.
No, I'm good.
You're good? Oh, okay. I saw you making notes. I thought maybe,
No,
you know.
like
All right.
a page and a half and I read it.
Okay. I want to thank my staff. I, at this point, have what I would call a dream staff. It may not be up to Jesus to decide who sits at the right hand and who sits at the left, but I did get to pick, and I picked well. These two gentlemen do a fantastic job, and more than you'll ever know. Behind the scenes, they work tirelessly, both of them, and I appreciate them more than I think I let them know. Our musicians, Joan and Scott, would you guys stand, please, and let us say thank you to you for all you do. It's one of the most important aspects of worship is the music, and I'm grateful for their skill and their leadership and all that they do. And then Larry, Curly, and Mo, could you stand, please? The people in the booth, Tristan, Tommy, and Howard. Jim also. The people that are up there every Sunday and at almost all the services, so that when you are not able to be here, you can watch it at home. When you miss it, you can pick it up and rerun your favorite services.
I wish to just point out the young guy in the booth did not give a reference. Just want to point that out.
Tommy Blair, ladies and gentlemen. One of our secret employees that does all the work that nobody ever sees. He loads the stuff onto the YouTube and does the camera work and a lot of other things. And it's a real wonderful group of people up there and who work. And then all the Sunday volunteers, are too numerous to name, that come in and aid and assist. But it's a 4-person job these days, and we really appreciate all the people that help out. Altar Guild, ushers, lectors, Eucharistic visitors. There's so many people that do so much for this church. Kitchen ministry. And coming up is our rummage sale. Please, Jackie, do you want to do a quick commercial for that? Okay. All right. But do make sure you come by and take advantage of that as well. The Vestry is going to be looking at some other initiatives until the membership meets the financial needs of the church. We're going to need some more money. So they're looking at ways of making that happen. If you would turn to page 21. And while you're turning to page 21, if Sue would wander up here in case there's questions. Page 21, you have the 2019 year-to-date actuals and the 2020 budget as adopted by the Vestry. Are there questions? She said she came all the way up. There better be a question.
Sure. So other income for 2019 included about $250,000 that we had in reserves. And so that's the bulk of it. And then the other income for 2020 includes about $279,000 that we have in reserves, which will pretty close to drain all of our reserves if we have to actually do that whole amount.
Other things in that category, I think, are building use.
So the AA pays a monthly fee.
South Hills.
South Hills pays a monthly fee.
Right. And any fundraisers that occur during the year. Women of St. John Divine make a donation every year. Anytime anybody has a fundraiser here, 10% of that. So in other words, if Outreach is doing a fundraiser for the DR and they use the building, they still offer 10% of the money raised to, and that goes in other income, that kind of thing.
And so we are going to explore some options of maybe having some fundraisers specifically for the church as well. Like we used to do that more regularly than we did in 2019, so.
One of the things that if you look at the 2019 under other income, you see that we budgeted $296,000, only used $275,000. This year we budgeted $310,000. We don't want to use any of that unless we have to. well, I mean, we'll use some of it, but if we could not use maybe 200,000 of that, that would be great. We would make that up in two ways. Significant growth in the year 2020 and new people. And the other thing would be in fundraisers. And the Vestry, like I said, is looking at a couple different specific ones. I'm not going to say now because it's a little early what they're going to be. But, so, yes, ma'am.
So the mortgage with Thrivent, we're 5 years into that mortgage, and so it revalued in January here, and we're now at 3.85%. And it went up, it was 3.5% before that. And then we have two loans with the diocese, one's at 0% and one's at 3%? Or
3%.
3%, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so all of our loans are under 4%. Other questions? All right. That was easy, huh? All right. Thank you. I also want to thank not just the Vestry who worked hard on this, but the Finance Committee as well. They spent a lot of time working hard at making sure things are where they should be and that our T's are crossed and our I's are dotted. All right, any general questions for anybody up here or any other staff members? All right. Yes, Mary Kay. They aren't here, and I told them to be here. No. Candy and Connie are doing a great job. We were able to expand Candy's hours a little bit, and it's been a world of difference. As you saw, she was here early, making sure everything was taken care of, doing the dishes afterwards, all those kinds of things. She has done a great job at getting volunteers to volunteer and matching people with ministries that they can be really, really good at. Connie replaced Jane and has done a fantastic job, and one of the most confusing years we've had with changes in personnel, payroll, and there have been changes at the diocesan level that we're not up to date on as far as payroll stuff goes and just stuff like that. So she has, it's like when you get that gnarl, that bird's nest when you're fishing, and it takes a long time to pull it all apart and get the line straight. Well, Connie has been doing that and has done a great job, and we really, really appreciate her. Yes, ma'am. We're all very friendly. All of us really are. I don't know. We're more friendly if you make an appointment, but we all are still very friendly. So, yeah, that's good. Okay, anything else? Father Lee, would you read the necrology for us? You want to go to the podium? Go to the podium, yeah.
Heavenly Father,
Whoa. No.
You don't want a dismissal prayer?
No. Necrology.
I thought you wanted to pray and enter the necrology in the prayer, you know?
Yeah, well, but you got to have it with you.
Just want the necrology.
Yeah, and then you can close the prayer.
Okay.
Please stand.
just the necrology then.
Yeah.
Members of the parish who have entered the Lord's presence in this past year. Tom Brown, Carol Costello, Betty McLaughlin, David Munson Chestnut, Howard Olson, Matthew Arp, Susan Detweiler, Pauline Yanati, George Baker, Tom Durant, Winifred Upchurch, Carol Elliott, Robert Stevens, Petty Dickensheed, Robert Collins, Mary Ann Jackson, Doreen Gorham, Diana Bruce.
Almighty God, into your hands we commend our friends. And we ask you to recognize them as lambs of your own calling, sheep of your own fold. Let them move in perfect service to perfect service. In Christ Jesus our Lord we pray. Amen. Any other business? Go in peace to love and serve the Lord. Thanks be to God. Meeting is adjourned.